everybody. Gonna talk a little bit about all the things I love about Batman. Now, I do have an issue with the superhero thing. I do love superheroes. I do love comics. I love superhero movies. I love some superhero TV shows, all that kind of stuff. I think there's an oversaturation that's certainly happening. I think that the blood is thinning. We're starting to bleed out, and we're starting to just grasp what are what are these new mythological characters? Who do we want to define who our heroes are? Apollo was once a hero. Now, Iron Man is a hero. To me, the one thing I always love about Batman is Batman isn't quite the hero that Iron Man or Superman is. Batman is like a self-made, albeit rich, self-made person that wants to avenge, but also wants to help people that were not there for him when he needed help, when he was a little boy. He, obviously, as we know, his parents were killed in front of him, and no one was there for him. So, psychologically, we can see how this became a major motivation in his adult life, and with the access that he had and has with Wayne Enterprises, with money, with technology, and all that, he was able to develop this technology to enhance a human being, to be able to go against other human beings and help people. At the end of the day, he's helping people, and he has his villains. He has all those opposing against him, which it's great about the writing. They'll help the Joker, the Riddler, whomever, Two-Face. But at the end of the day, I almost think that Batman is somebody without villains in a way. The villain, I imagine, is probably more within himself. And those are manifestations of those fears that he has, those things that upset him. All these different things sort of manifest into what we call the Joker and all these things, right? The Joker definitely being someone who is a I guess more so the atavistic side, the id side of him. Not to say that innately we have a desire to destroy. I'm not so sure we have that desire, but I think we do have that desire to for self-preservation. And if that does lead to destruction, and we are self-preserved as a result of it, that is part of our human nature. And I think the Joker is that element of him. The Riddler, I guess, would be more of his humor side that he never ever lets out. All the wit and all that kind of stuff. All the joy, like the Dionysian side, let's say, of who he could possibly become and doesn't become. Two-Face, I suppose, would be his ambiguity of the idea of of the Nietzschean sense of beyond good and evil. You know, that dichotomy of what exactly is, what does society call good? What does society call bad? What actually is good? What actually is bad? Like out in the African safari, when lions and zebras and everything are out there, what are their laws? They don't have them. So, I mean, these are the things we all deal with and all that. But outside of all of that, Batman, I guess on the, the fun side of it all is it's enjoyable. It's certainly enjoyable. And, there's a Kafka, there's Dostoevsky, there's all these elements that we know that are there. We often try to suppress them, just put them aside. But Batman ultimately reminds us that these sides of the real world are actually there, and we are not. We're not going to be. It's not going to be perfect, and we're not going to be perfect people. And aside from his enemies who themselves have their own imperfections, it really does come down to the fact that we're not these things. Now, this sort of juxtaposes a little bit of a difference between Superman, where there's that just goodness within him. Batman kind of just rails it down to the reality that we are responsible for all the things we do. But I think with the Freudian sense and the psychological sense, we're also responsible for the things that we're not aware that we're doing. And that's a big pill that people don't want to hear. They don't want to hear that what the Freudian saying is I think of you, but my mother kind of deal. But the whole idea is that you are responsible, but psychologically there's a subconscious that has to become responsible within your responsibility. And within criminology, this has always been a dichotomy about how do we claim responsibility. If I steal something directly, I am responsible for stealing it. If I am unaware that I'm doing something and it's just part of a weird tick that I have, or what that may be, am I responsible for that in that sense? And it sort of comes down, at the end of the day, I do think that Batman actually encapsulates a lot of that, the ambiguity of that. He's good, he's fighting evil, boom, that's it. But is he good? And is the evil that he's fighting evil? At the end of the day, and I'm pretty sure within many of the philosophers, this ultimately was a problem. Now that I think about it, especially with Machiavelli and the Prince, is that there were duties that just simply needed to happen. If that harmed people for the greater good, then back to the utilitarian element at all. Is this good or is it not good? And then there's the element with Batman that is he doing it to feed his own self-loathing, and he's just displacing it. He's projecting it out on the enemies, because there's always that same problem that in spite of how many people Batman takes down, Gotham City's so corrupt that it all just keeps coming. So if he just stands back and nothing happens, and he doesn't do anything, would it all implode? And that really goes back to the idea of inaction. If you don't do anything, is that a good idea? And I think what Batman actually tells us is that in spite of all the horrible things about the world, all the imminent train crash, that a lot of things that are, with climate change and various things that are all sort of heading towards, I think Batman tells us that we need to continue to fight. And I don't know where he'll be if that that train actually goes off the cliff, which is that of mankind. But he is still willing to fight, and it's such a weird dichotomy that we are corruptible. We do have so many problems. How we view ourselves, how we view other people, and how we view groups outside of the people that are within our group, and how we judge those people with outside those groups, and how we perceive them seeing us, and then make judgments and all these things, and ultimately just confabulations, for the most part. But at the end of the day, I think Batman is ultimately fighting for the idea to fight through that, to fight through all the different prejudices and all the different ways we look at the world, and what is bad. I mean, there are bad things. There are some things that are just, it doesn't matter. It's unifiable. It's like that. I mean, it could be something like natural disaster, which I think is probably the best example. A volcano erupts, and it kills a bunch of people, unfortunately. And unfortunately, they weren't able to get away because there just wasn't enough time. Unanimous, around the world, in spite of political views, in spite of everything, everybody would unanimously agree that was sad. That was a sad thing, and so there are all these agreeable things. That's the weird thing about people, is that there's so many agreeable things that we all have in common, no matter what. But then when you start bringing in the conditioning, the indoctrination, the religion, all these other things, then we start going, okay, well, I'm me, you don't agree with me, so therefore I don't like you, or hate you, or whatever, or want to kill you in some cases. And these are where problems start arising. Now, of all these people, you take all the people that hate each other around the world, and, well, I guess there's quite a few of them, and you surround them around Mount Vesuvius, and Mount Vesuvius explodes, and there's, volcanic lava, everything's all blown everywhere. I do promise you that their values change, and their values align. Everybody's values align, because there's a natural thing about us all. Now, I mean, there's obviously going to be those cases where people push people down for themselves to get ahead, and there's ultimately that problem. But at the end of the day, if even that happens, you could say that at the end, after the lava settles, and everything's all, that all the different people that survived are all talking about how their stories about how they survived, and they're not talking about their weird political views and all that kind of stuff, or how oil in this country terms of value is actually the problem. Why this part of the country in another country is unstable in various things. What they're doing is they're going to unify on that agreement that a volcano happened and yeah, people died and it sucks for everybody. But back to Batman, I think that Batman is that kind of a hero. He's somebody to aspire to be because he sacrifices himself. He sacrifices his happiness, his well-being, even though he's rich as hell. And that's what's kind of great about him too. Is the one thing about Spider-Man, which is also great, is that Spider-Man isn't wealthy. He's just a kid, a kid from Queens, and but he's out helping people and all that. He doesn't have to do it. He can have a paper route and all that kind of stuff. And but yeah, he's out helping people. But Batman, he's a guy of massive privilege. He's a guy that he doesn't have to lift a finger, and he doesn't have to help anybody because he won. Wayne Enterprises, the Wayne family, he inherited a family that won. So in our world, in the 1%ers, he won. He won. He's a winner. He doesn't have to do any of this shit. But yet, he decides to morally put on his cowl, to hide his identity, to put fear in people and all that. And at the end of the day, that is certainly for myself. That is a hero. I do see heroes in a lot of different places, but in terms of certainly this topic of Batman, he is a hero because he doesn't have to be, and he literally could live the dream. I mean, Peter Parker is similarly. I mean, he's a hero. He doesn't have to be one. He's a whole other conversation that I will put a video on because I do enjoy Spider-Man's point of view on the hero side of things. But I've got to say, at the end of the day, Batman is my favorite of all of them. And we'll see. Let me know what you think. Put comments down below and all that kind of stuff. Like, subscribe, share, do all the things that we do. And yeah, and we'll see you.